So for today's player profile, we're going to be discussing Stephen Curry, All-NBA, All-Star, obviously last season Clutch Player of the Year, one of the greatest players of all time, and the greatest player of this era. Last season, in year 15, had a dominant year from start to finish, and I expect that to continue as his longevity hasn't slowed down one bit. So, starting off with the breakdown, in 23-24, last season he played 74 games. In 32.7 minutes per game, he averaged 26.4 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and 0.7 steals on 45% from the field and 40.8 from three. So, shot 45, 41 splits last season on 25 plus points per game. Another efficient showing by Steph Curry. Well-rounded still, giving you about 5 assists and 5 rebounds. So, the slippage in different areas of his game hasn't really shown. Even at the age of 36, still producing as a playmaker, rebounder, contributing in different areas. His greatest strength to date is being an elite scorer. Volume and efficiency. 26 plus points per game last season on 61.6% true shooting. Once again, another volume and efficient showing from Steph. Him being a tough shot maker has been the case since he entered the league, and it's only become more and more impressive and more apparent as the years have gone on. The shot selection last year was more difficult, but a lot of that had to do with the lack of spacing, the lack of shot creation in the lineups and on the roster. And Steph still proved in the clutch and through, the first 43 minutes of basketball that he can still hit the toughest of shots. We're looking at step backs, side steps, off the dribble, off of screens, on the move, off the catch, all types of shots. Steph Curry is the greatest tough shot maker in NBA history, and that remains the case today. He's an elite ball handler, the ability to create space with a variety of dribble moves and combinations, crossovers, behind the backs. Steph's handle has become tighter and more efficient, less wasted movement over the course of his career. And it's contributed to his tough shot making because when you're able to create separation, even the slightest of space, the slightest daylight, can give you that advantage to get shots off with ease. And that's one thing Steph Curry has been the master of, is getting shots off over a variety of types of defenders. We're looking at length, at the wing position, or quickness at the guard position. Steph can attack and really exploit all varieties of defenders, and he's among the best finishers in the league, especially at his position, at the point guard position. Last season, he profiled as one of the best finishers, and backdoor cuts are a part of his ability to finish at the basket. Because when defenses top lock or cut him off of the ball screen, he can cut backdoor and take advantage of the lanes and openings that are created and finish over the top of the defense. So Steph has a variety of counters. He has a wide range of different skill sets beyond just shooting the basketball. He can score in the in-between. And finishing at the basket is still something he does at a high level. He's a combo guard, can play both the 1 and the 2 in closing lineups and on and off the ball. So the versatility, the ability to play either position, and whether it's with the ball in his hands or without, is something that we can't, speak enough about, because at his size and given the skill set that he has, the fact that he's as versatile and the fact that he is as he's able to transition from on and off the ball as seamlessly as he can, it speaks volumes to his general skill set and his ability to read and react, because there's times where the defense will take away his off-ball scoring, whether it's coming off of screens or they'll top lock him, or on the ball, they'll trap, they'll blitz, take the ball out of his hands. So his ability to kind of transition between on and off the ball no matter the defense, no matter the the matchup. I think that's something that remains true today, and we saw him in the clutch uh, demonstrate that. I think we saw more on the ball clutch moments from Steph this last season, but he definitely has shown the ability to free himself up off the ball as well. And like I said earlier, the ability to, with a series of moves, create space against different defenses and different matchups. Very few players at his age can still do that at the level he can. At 36 years old, the ability to create separation and average 25 plus points per game on the efficiency he does is very rare, and we don't see it from even some of the greatest players ever. Steph Curry, obviously the greatest shooter of all time, and he can shoot in a variety of ways. Off his screens, we run a wide range of actions such as the split action, pin downs, ghost screens, and double drag. Those are just to name a few. He can come off of a variety of screens to free himself up and use different angles, use different his creative ways to create separation, and his footwork. All of these things culminate and allow him to get a shot off. Some of the highest degree of difficulty shots are the ones that come off of screens because the defender's right on his hip or they're right behind him. And the fact that Steph is able to get the shot off as easily as he does is it speaks volumes to his ability to hit tough shots and to his craft, because in order to work on shots off of screens, you also have to be comfortable enough with the defense playing tight. And one thing about Steph is he's not fazed by defenders in close proximity. Within a couple feet, still able to get a shot off. In fact, contested shots are some of his most efficient shots in his game. And again, off the ball, being able to move and use his shooting ability to free up others is something that we'll get into. But just the pure shot making is something that I think is his greatest attribute and skill set. Catch and shoot threes. Last season, he shot 44.8%. He's able to shoot in a variety of ways, like I said, not just limited to one or two. He's proficient in virtually every shooting aspect of basketball. Off the dribble, he shot 37% on pull-up threes, and that's an elite mark because, coming off of a ball screen or a pick and roll, the ability to pull up with range, to pull up with, over the top of a defender, that is something that very few players can do at a high level and in transition as well. Pulling up when you have numbers and not afraid to take shots when you have that advantage. I think Steph has shown as he's gotten older the willingness to use that green light and get more shots up, especially like I said, off the dribble. When he's faced with switches, attacking slower footed bigs or wings that he can take advantage of, creating that extra separation with the step backs, the side steps, and a variety of combo moves off the bounce. He just has a deep bag, and not only a deep bag, but deep range. Shooting 30 footers. Some of his game winners came from, many feet beyond the 3-point line. So last season, we saw no slowing down from Steph as a scorer and as a shooter. Still elite at that, still the best in the world when it comes to volume and efficiency and the variety of shot-making capabilities he has. As an on-ball playmaker, he can run the pick and roll through a multitude of ways: handoffs, off-ball, down screens, exit screens. That you can run a wide range of actions to get Steph the ball and run a pick and roll. He has a tight dribble under pressure, so if he's playing in close proximity against a defender, he can still handle the ball with ease and get by them to get to his spots, or to just find a teammate, a drive and kick. His court vision is very, very good. He has the ability to see the floor, and in the pick and roll, he makes very simple reads. He doesn't necessarily do too much. Very effective and little motion wasted when it comes to running those actions. And then also just outlet passes, getting the ball up the court, facilitating, initiating, getting the the general, um, the ball just in transition, trying to push the pace. That's the key. And that's what Steph does. He plays with a lot of pace, and he understands that that is how we score the best, is when we're pushing the ball and we're putting pressure on the defense. As far as the mid range goes, Steph is still a threat from that area, attacking closeouts, the floater area, taking push shots, shots, different, a variety of shots, left hand, right hand, off the glass. His ability to attack closeouts and take advantage of space. He can take pull up mid range shots as well. So, Steph, even though his mid range shot attempts have gone down, his ability to get shots off and be efficient at that has remained. And his floater game, his, um, you know, either hand, whether it's, like I said, the free throw line push shot at the nail, all of these things allow him to be the greatest shot maker in the world because he can hit shots, awkward shots, whether they're off balance or, he's not, necessarily feet set, and he's still able to hit a variety of those looks and very unconventional shots. You know what I'm saying? These are not shots that you practice necessarily, but because he's such an incredible shot maker, he's still able to get it off and hit them at a high clip. The system overall creates high quality shot opportunities for his teammates. So Steph has shown a great ability to be portable. Non-spacing lineups, he can play next to a variety of different combinations. Whether it's Draymond and Looney, Trace, Otto Porter, Jermichael Green, he can make a variety of front court players work. Guys who can shoot, guys who may not be able to shoot or score. And the fact that Steph, at this age, is able to make lineups like that work is something that I don't think we'll ever see again. Because in most cases, when you have less space as you get older, it's very difficult to make non-spacing lineups work when you have less shot creation, less spacing, less shot making overall. And the fact that last season our spacing wasn't ideal by any stretch of the imagination, and he was still able to, you know, create and to produce quality offense in any lineup he was in, speaks volumes to his versatility on that end and being able to play on and off the ball, an elite shot maker, and also just an elite creator in terms of drawing the defense in. So Steph is a floor and ceiling raiser even now. A lot of people may not consider the fact that, with the roster we've had the last couple of years, Steph is taking them to, pretty impressive heights. The second round exit we had in 2023, that roster didn't have an all-star. That roster it had no bench. And the fact that he was able to put together a campaign in the playoffs where he averaged 30 and, got us to the second round in a tough 6-game series speaks volumes, dropping 50 points in a game 7 against the Kings on the road. And then last season, winning clutch player of the year, 10 games over 500. Obviously, we were not necessarily as successful when he was off the court, and specifically in the games he didn't play, we were sub 500. But when Steph is out there, he's going to make us, he's going to be one of the building blocks to a championship team. He's going to be the mainstay, the pillar, and the primary piece to the puzzle. And I think with him, you can surround him, with system fit players. But even if a player doesn't necessarily fit in the system, he can still make them work through his his ability to create gravity and shot opportunities, the quality of looks, given the attention he draws on and off the ball. Those are things that he still does at a high level. Defenses sell out on him, and that's one thing that that'll never really regress is the attention that he demands from defenses. His off-ball movement, being an elite floor spacer. Last season we saw it next to Chris Paul. You can put a player like CP3 or Draymond on the ball and have Steph just space the floor for other, players running a ball screen or running a pick and roll. So his ability to, leverage his gravity through DHOs, pin down split actions, high ball screens, drawing the defense out, extending them beyond the 3-point line, forcing them to have to defend, and creating a lot of space, a lot of lanes, and just a lot of opportunities for his teammates to hit open shots from three or get to the basket and get easy layups and dunks. Steph's ability to command defensive attention off the ball specifically, and as a floor spacer, that allows his teammates to play 4-on-4. That allows them to take advantage of what he's providing and operate in greater space and with more shot area to get shots off. So he's always in constant motion. Like I said earlier, draws attention from defenders, and especially off the ball when he's coming off of a screen and has separation, a lot like forcing the big to come out and have to show or trap, get the ball out of his hands, and creating 4-on-3 opportunities. The 4-on-3s usually result in open shots on the perimeter or at the basket. So again, creating these high quality looks, and also through his relocation. Defenses can't keep their eyes off of Steph because he's moving at all times. And there may be a moment where he's in the corner and he finds himself on the wing, or he cuts back door. So Steph is always someone you can't lose track of because he's so dangerous in terms of his motion off the ball, and he can catch and go at any moment. And so because of the combination of his on-ball and off-ball abilities, it makes him the deadliest offensive weapon we've ever seen. And it also speaks volumes to his conditioning. The ability to, shoot the ball at a high level in minute 1 or in minute 48. Steph, even though stamina and endurance regress over time, and as you get older, it becomes more difficult to play at a level that you did in your 20s, his conditioning hasn't wavered one bit. He still has the ability to get shots off in the clutch against tough defenses, perform at a high level, and play on and off the ball, whether it's through the system, the motion offense, or creating his own shots and taking over in a game and taking it upon himself to dominate. Steph's conditioning is the greatest in the world, and there's reasons for that, and we'll get into that right now. His physical development. Over time, he's developed physically. He's added different breathing techniques and exercises to improve his stamina and his endurance, and that's carried him as he's gotten older to perform at such a high level and to continue to be such an elite shot maker even when he's tired. Core strength is something that's been the case for years. He's been building that ever since his MVP seasons, taking on physical defenses, being able to withstand bumps from defenders. Some of the more physical defenses we've faced over the few years as he's gotten older haven't really phased him. He's been able to navigate and get through them and take what they give him, whether it's shots at the basket, whether it's taking his threes against teams like Boston in 22, Memphis in 22, the Lakers in 2023, and in 2021, facing a culmination of elite level defenses that year en route to a top 3 MVP season, as well as the scoring title. In the 2020s, Steph Curry's ability to withstand physicality from defenses and individual defenders has improved, and as he's gotten older, he's become a better player in terms of countering those types of looks. And then for his size, he's a very good rebounder. He's active on the boards. Last season, averaged 4.5 rebounds. He definitely isn't afraid to get his hands dirty and get in the mix. And that's Steph's mentality. He does what it takes to win, even if it means he has to, uh, try to rebound amongst the trees and set an example for his teammates. Those are things he's willing to do and sacrifice. And then he leads by example. One of the biggest things is, with Steph as a superstar, he's committed to winning. His willingness to sacrifice and playing off the ball, taking less shots, even playing less minutes at times, putting the team first. He's incredibly competitive and he wants to win. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to get to that point. So with Steph, the ability to take that step back and understanding that there's a balance between his production and his possessions while also getting his teammates involved, that's something that he's worked on for the last decade, and that's why we've won 4 championships in that span. He's found the balance and he's perfected it at such a level that it's resulted in the winning of the highest order. And taking a backseat when he needs to, focusing on the bigger picture whether it's with stars like KD or even role players like Jordan Poole or Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga. Steph is willing to, take a step back, allow others to get their rhythm, to get their points. Klay Thompson as well. We've seen him try to force feed Klay over the years to get him in rhythm and to get him going, especially in the first half of games. And that's something that Steph has done purposely because he wants to make sure that his teammates are in rhythm before he is. Understanding the bigger picture is he knows he can take care of what he does, but he needs to make sure his teammates are able to deliver and to execute when it matters the most. He's a low maintenance superstar. Winning culture, established one of the great environments in all of sports with the Warriors, inspiring and motivating his teammates, such as Dante DiVincenzo, Kevon Looney, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond. Over the years, Steph has definitely instilled a lot of positivity within the organization from a cultural standpoint in terms of a winning mindset, sacrificing, playing with joy, playing the game of basketball with enjoyment and loose on the court, understanding that it's all about competition and doing it as a team, not necessarily taking all the shine for himself in terms of taking the most shots or the most possessions, playing the most minutes, willing to sacrifice for others and prioritizing winning and his teammates before himself. He's probably the lowest maintenance superstar we've ever seen, along with Tim Duncan. So those are some of the biggest things that Steph contributes to the Warriors, and he's been doing it for a decade now. Weaknesses, positional size, obviously. At his frame, doesn't have a ton of height or length. 6'3", and with the 6'4" wingspan, Steph isn't someone that's going to, necessarily hound ball handlers at the point of attack. And he does struggle to defend wings. Although I will mention that over the past few years, he has held up pretty well against certain matchups, such as Jason Tatum. He's done well against LeBron in the finals in a variety of series. So even though Steph, for the most part, isn't someone you want switched out on the perimeter against some of the 6'8", 6'9" players in the league that play the 3-4, he's or even the 2-3, he's still able to hold his own at times, but does definitely struggle to defend some matchups at the wings position. And we don't really want him playing at point of attack. The entire objective is to reduce the burden of Steph defensively as much as we can, and to build together the most balanced roster possible, especially from the defensive end. The last few years, I've noticed if you look at his percentage of field goals attempted, he's more dependent on perimeter shooting. And watching the games, that's apparent as well. He's shifted his shot distribution a little bit over the years, taking less shots at the basket and in the mid-range, and taking more shots from three, which leads to greater shooting variance and lower shot quality at times. Last season, we saw he had some, ups and downs throughout the year. Games where he produced, 25, 30 points. And then there were games he produced closer to 15 to 20 points. And that scoring variance and efficiency variance was a result of, the lack of spacing, getting older, and the shot quality over time. I think with Steph, it's about providing him with as much offensive weapons as possible, because he can be the engine for a team that has a lot of firepower. And if you don't have players around him that can take that burden off, and you look at some of the superstars around the NBA like LeBron and KD, who are surrounded by stars like Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, um, they have the ability to take a step back and allow others to comfortably take over games. So with Steph, he's been leaning into his shot a lot more. And part of that has to do with the fact that there's a lack of shooting on this roster over the last few years. And they've tried to address that this offseason to take that burden off of him so he doesn't have to be carrying the load when it comes to perimeter shot making. But his overall shot distribution, less drive to the basket, is also a byproduct of a lack of spacing and also getting older, not necessarily wanting to drive the basketball into a crowd, taking the physical punishment that comes with that. Steph has to manage himself throughout the 82-game season, so it wouldn't make sense to relentlessly drive the ball to the basket, um, in the regular season. And just the general shot quality, I think over time, with the physical regression, changing direction, short area quickness, at the age of 27, 28, 29, Steph's ability to create high level separation and changing direction end to end, that, regresses naturally as you get older. But that's why his ability to counteract that through his strength, conditioning, is what separates him. That's why he's able to play as long as he has and play at the level he has for as long as he has. Because you look at a lot of point guards and players at his age of 36, he's virtually in a class of his own. Almost no stars have aged the way he has, especially at the guard position. And so what Steph is able to do, even with the regression in terms of lateral quickness and his ability to create the same separation he did a decade ago, I still think it hasn't made much of a difference in his overall ability because one, his game is not predicated on his handle as much as it is on his shot making. And so he can shoot on and off the ball. And in addition, he doesn't necessarily need the most space to get his shot off. There's a lot of players that need to create that separation to get shots off and to be efficient from different areas. But with Steph, as we saw in the Olympics, he can get a shot off with ease amongst the toughest defenders, amongst the toughest coverages. So even though those are part of, that's part of the natural course of getting older, and aging as as an athlete, I think we haven't seen it really affect his game significantly as much as other stars over the years. Careless live ball turnovers, that's been the case for a long time. Uh, you know, Throwing errant passes, not having enough focus in terms of executing a certain, playmaking responsibilities. I think with Steph, when he's on the ball, taking care of the basketball last season was a struggle the first few months. Some of it was carelessness and a lack of focus, and some of it was also just the defense throwing bodies at him and at times overwhelming him because of the attention that he draws. And it creates transition opportunities for the other team, and then they can take advantage and score easy baskets. So, one of the things I hope that Steph can clean up this season is just being more uh, mindful with the basketball and taking care of it so we don't necessarily allow those shots and opportunities in transition because it's really important to take care of your possessions. In today's game, the way teams play fast and they shoot a lot of threes, a game can swing with one turnover or a couple turnovers in a short span. So that's important. And then his passive leadership style, I think he's gotten some criticism for that over the past few years. He's just naturally a quiet person. He leads by example. He's not someone that's going to, bang the table and demand, certain things from his teammates. He's going to let you know when he wants to see something from you. However, we saw in the game 7, against the Kings. Before that game, he gave a speech to all of his teammates about, getting ready and understanding what it requires to win. And if they're not ready to perform at a certain level, to not get on the bus. And we've seen Steph use his ability to be vocal in very opportunistic and sporadic moments. So even though Steph isn't more of a natural leader in terms of being quiet and passive at times, I think you can argue there's strengths and weaknesses associated with that. He's not someone that is necessarily going to put pressure on coaches, front office, or his teammates. He's going to lead by example, and he's going to lead through encouragement. And again, it has its positives, it has its negatives, but ultimately, Steph Curry, the greatest player of our generation, has led a dynasty for good reason. And next season, I expect him to have a consistent role and minutes starting at point guard. Obviously, he's been starting his entire career and at his position to be the best in the world, playing within the motion offense, shot making off of actions, whether it's you know off the bounce, as a floor spacer, attacking closeouts, off of ball screens. You know, we run a variety of sets throughout the course of the game. So split actions, drag screens, down screens, curls, all types of different, ways to break down the defense. Steph can, play within the flow of that and force the defense to shift and to tilt as he's moving off the ball and create advantages because of it. So that ability to not only hit shots off the ball, but also create lanes and create opportunities for his teammates off the ball is something that cannot be understated. And then as a pick and roll ball handler, his on ball shot creation, expects the ball to be in Steph's hand next year to create his own shot. Put the ball on the floor, attack defenders off the bounce, get to his spots, and especially in the clutch. Last season, I think we saw a lot of that, attacking mismatches and drawing weak defenders out to break the defense down. I think that's a part of his game that'll never go away, and that's probably the greatest ability of his is to get his shot off when he's in rhythm and to take over a game with that shot making ability. And then defensively, I expect him to be in net neutral. Given the variety of defenders we have surrounding him and the anchors in Draymond and Trace, the point of attack, Melton, Wiggins, that we have, the optionality that we can surround him with defensively, I expect, the positional discipline to remain, sharp rotations, closing out on shooters, and understanding where to be on defense, and then being active on the board. Steph, again, one of the better rebounding guards in the NBA, so I expect him to be connected and engaged on the glass as well. When he is, that's a sign that he's locked into the game and locked into, the competition of winning. And like I said, I like the personnel we surrounded him with this year. I think we did a really good job of putting together a good team, a team that can, kind of take that burden off of him and not force him to have to guard at the point of attack at times, or reduce that load in terms of from the defensive end, kind of reduce the limitations that he has, and at his age and at his size, hide him on defense, because that is what all superstars are doing. Jokic, LeBron, KD, some of the Luka, all superstars are surrounded by defenders to take that burden off of them, so they don't have to be called to the carpet and guard every possession. But when Steph is in that position, I expect him to play well. And we saw in the Olympics, actually, his defense held up quite nicely. He was applying ball pressure. He was sliding his feet, staying with his man, and that I expect to remain, especially in higher leverage moments and situations, whether it's the playoffs or big games that we have next year. And then his leadership, setting the tone, leading by example. Obviously, Steph Curry, one of the greatest leaders in all of sports history, in terms of creating an environment that's conducive to winning, empowering his teammates, empowering his coaches and the organization as a whole, setting the tone, understanding that having a mindset of unselfishness and of doing whatever it takes to win. So if it means he has to become a playmaker, play off the ball, if it means he has to be a scorer and dominate on the ball, he's able to make that presence felt, and his teammates will follow suit. And we've seen many, many players over the years do just that. And they've elevated their game because of it. They've improved individually and collectively because of Steph Curry. And every Steph Curry team is greater than the sum of its players because of it. The leadership style that he implements is one that, with the right personnel and the right locker room personalities, can result in great vibes and high level connectivity on the court. So that's what Steph represents, and I expect that to continue next season, because he is the leader of the Warriors. He may not always be the vocal leader, but he is the leader. And whenever he speaks up, everybody listens. He's very selective and calculated with what he says, but he's someone that is going to demand the attention of everyone's presence, and that's why he is who he is, the leader of the dynasty and the greatest player of our generation. In 24-25, I have Steph Curry averaging 33.8 minutes per game, slight uptick from last year. 27.1 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.4 blocks. I have him shooting 46.8% from the field, 41.3% from 3, and 92.1% at the line, and a plus-minus of plus 257. I think he's going to have a great scoring year at the age of 36, going on 37. Still going to be well-rounded, giving us playmaking on the ball, off the ball. He's going to draw the attention of the defense. His gravity is still going to be there at a high level. And we have to understand, too, coming off the Olympics, being able to carry that momentum and that energy into the season is huge. Because in the Olympics, he had, up and down start, but ultimately we saw what he did when it was time to come through. He took over and was the best player on the court. When you had LeBron, KD, Jokic out there, Steph Curry was the one who took over. And I expect him to be in the running for Clutch Player of the Year again. I expect him to be in the running for first-team All-NBA, an All-Star starter. The momentum and the mentality that he has, being an underdog, being counted out, that's something that always plays to his advantage and that he's going to carry with him, no matter who the roster is, no matter who he's surrounded with. So I have him having an efficient year, shooting over 60+% true shooting once again. And even though there's criticism about the spacing and the on-ball creation and the shot creation overall next to him, I still think the shot making won't go away, and the ability to play within the flow of the offense will be there. And if we play faster, I think shots in transition will be presented and available that weren't last season because we had to play a lot in the half court. So that is the player projection I have for Steph Curry.